Hey everyone, happy Saturday night. We are coming to you live. I have Micha here with me tonight because we are celebrating. We couldn't do it. We were supposed to do it yesterday, but by the time I went live, he had already left for Shabbat. So we couldn't celebrate yesterday, but yesterday was a big, momentous day for Micha here. Right, Micha? Yes, it was a big, momentous day for Micha because... Huge. Because what happened 3 years ago yesterday?
Well, having seen the great success that you were having, Lesley, doing Optavia, I decided it was time for me to finally take the plunge, and I started.
Yay! And what made you decide to make some changes to your health?
They actually sound kind of a little petty, I guess you could say, compared to some people, but one was clothes that didn't fit me like I wish they fit me, and didn't want to spend money on new clothes, probably because we didn't have much money to spend. Also, I apparently snort. Someone told me that I snort at night, and yeah,
it was bad. It was really bad.
That's when I say it was bad. And I talked to my doctor, and he said it's I asked him, I said, if I lose weight, I did a sleep test, and I hated it. It was miserable doing the sleep test, and I had those, and it was terrible. So I said, I don't want to have to sleep with this thing for the next however many years. So I asked my doctor, I said, if I lose weight, would it make a difference? It's probably just weight related. So to save myself the agony of doing that, to save Lesley from having to listen to me snore every night.
I used to elbow him, roll over. It was really bad.
I'm still black and blue to this day. I decided to start doing Optavia, and it was one of the greatest decisions I've ever made.
Yeah, it was. It took him, I think within the first 2 weeks of being on program, the snoring totally stopped.
Yep.
Yeah, it was amazing. What other changes have you noticed over the last 3 years?
Just more energy, haven't gotten sick nearly as often, just looking damn good if you can't see from this picture, but
so we're at a weird angle, but yeah.
Yeah, I can now slam dunk on a regulation basketball. I can do backflips. Okay, maybe I can't do those things, but I just feel better. Everything's great.
Everything's great.
Everything.
Everything's great.
Everything's great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, what else would you say about, how much weight did you lose? First of all, you didn't tell anybody how much weight you lost.
At most, I lost 50 pounds. I gained a little back because I just, even when I went into... Hey, Gail. Even when I went into maintenance, I kept losing until I finally kind of regulate as to where I should be. So, I'm losing, about 40 to 45. One of the things I also learned is I learned my body. I learned what, how much I should eat, how often I should eat. I became big fan of habit, of having certain rituals and things I do on a regular basis. And I found that it really, some people say that tying yourself to something restricts you. I find that actually helps me and helps me live the rest of my life in a much fuller way.
And I talk about that a lot. I know I've been talking about that a lot lately, is that structure. Sometimes people talk about structure and think of structure as being restrictive, where structure actually is what keeps us in control. And that's not just in weight loss, that's not just in health, but in everything. We're given structure, and structure is not, it doesn't tie you and take away your freedoms. Structure, hey Michael, structure gives you more freedoms. It gives you freedoms to live in a better way, because you know what to do and you know what to expect, and your body, when it comes to health, your body knows what to expect. When we change people's eating habits and change people's routine and put that structure in, their bodies regulate out. They feel so much better. They sleep better. They, everything starts to, things that they don't even realize are bothering them start to regulate themselves out because their body gets used to that structure, that timing, what it really needs. What other advice would you give to somebody who is, because first of all, when he started program, he was like, I could never eat the way you eat, right? And he just thought it was like, he was like, no way. And I said, just try it. Yeah. Just give it a shot for a little bit. Just try it. Yeah. And, hey, Donna.
Hey.
And so, He did, and
I found I immediately had much more energy. I'd wake up in the morning feeling just ready to go, and it just definitely changed. Changed so much for me in terms of just my outlook, in terms of also the community, the friends I made through doing this. It's great.
The awesome thing about this is that we're sitting here 3 years later to tell the story, right? Most people, we know that 85% of the people that go on a quote-unquote diet, put the weight back on within 2 years, right? We've both surpassed that. We are both in that 15%. And that's what's amazing. That's what's so great about this whole program, about the coaching, about all those things, is that we sit here to tell the tale later, right? And we will be back a year later to be telling this tale again, and a year after that, and a year after that, because you change your life. And you don't just change your life temporarily, right? You get new structure, you get the support, you get all of the things, and that's what has made such a difference for us. And for me, the biggest thing is that not only have the two of us gotten to healthy weights and we're keeping the weight off, but our families have changed. Our whole family tree has changed. Our kids have learned healthy habits that I never, ever, ever would have been able to teach them without adopting this into our own lives, and without both of us taking this on. Because what goes on our table has totally changed. The way we face food, the way we approach life is just so different than it was 3 years ago. I mean, tonight I was at a party. Our niece is getting married on Monday, and there was a party for all the women tonight, and my girls, they were having dinner, and my girls came over, and they got their dinner, but they made sure that they put vegetables on their plate. And they each came over to me and said, "Mommy, can we have a dessert?" Right? And the person I was sitting there talking to, her eyes about bugged out of her head, because what 12-year-old and 10-year-old asks before they can have that, right? And made sure that there were vegetables on their plate. But my girls do too. My girls do, and if my son had been there, he also would have asked, because he would have asked. He would have taken it and then said, "Can I have this?" But he still would have asked. And actually, he asked the meals at lunch today. He asked, "Can I have dessert?" He did not take it without asking. But they know, because they've learned how important it is to eat healthy, and they know that we're paying attention to what they're eating the rest of the day, and we make them make choices based off of what they're having. And it's really amazing, because even though, our son maybe is not as good, but he's only 8. He's an 8-year-old boy, right? So, but they're learning healthy habits now at the ages of 12, 10, and 8. Thank you, Gail. They are learning these healthy habits now, so that when they get older, they're not, God willing, going to have to battle what we've battled, right? They're not. It's going to already be ingrained in them at a much younger age, and an understanding. And if they make bad choices, well, I can't do much about that, but I can give them the tools and the resources now, and that's what is so huge about this. That's what's so huge about the changes that we made in our lives, right? If I had just gone, on a quote-unquote diet, right, and lost the weight, and didn't talk about health, and didn't talk about living in a healthy way, and didn't change our family, that wouldn't have happened, right? But all of those things changed, and we are so open with them and honest with them about why we make the choices that we make, and so that they can follow in our footsteps, right? We always want to say, do as I do, not as I say. So we want them following what we're doing, and that's been tremendous. That's one of the biggest changes, and the things that I'm so proud of now is not only have we done it for ourselves, but we've done it for them. Gail, yes, it's great to teach them. You have to teach them young, right? It was such a struggle for me growing up, and I don't blame my parents, but it was different, and I just didn't have the understanding. I mean, I knew junk food was not healthy, but I didn't understand why. I mean, if you ask my kids, they can tell you why sugar isn't healthy for you. They can tell you what a serving size is. They can tell you how to read a nutrition label. And nutrition labels,
Hi, Barbie.
Nutrition labels were completely different when we were kids, right? Now now the FDA and the USDA, they require a lot more information on our labels. But it's really important, kid or adult, to learn to read those. And what does that mean? What does it mean in them? I actually had a client who called me the other day and asked me, about carbohydrates, right? And what was the difference between different kinds of carbohydrates? And he was looking at a nutrition label, and he said, well, it only has however many grams of carbs in it, and I said, okay, now look underneath that. How much sugar is in there, right? I think it had 12 grams of carbs, and I said, how much sugar is in there? And he said, oh, 10 of those grams of carbs are from sugars. And I said, yeah, that's probably not a great choice. Hey, Jackie.
Hey.
So it's learning to read those things, and it's teaching our kids to read those things now so that they can follow along, and so that if they're not with me, they can pick up a nutrition label and read it. They can make good choices because they've learned also, as Micha was saying, he now understands his body better. So our kids have really learned that as well. They've learned how they feel when they eat too many carbs and too much junk. They've learned how great they feel when they start their day with a protein-filled breakfast. Those are all super important things. So, whether you're doing my program or something else, right? Really educating yourself on that and really learning your body and how your body responds to things is super, super important. Like, I personally eliminated cheese from my diet last summer because it wasn't making me feel well, and I eliminated it for 30 days just to do a trial run, and I saw the difference in how great I felt. And it just sort of has stayed out of my diet now because I've learned my body. I've learned how I feel, where when I was at an unhealthy weight, it probably had the same effect on me, but I was so unhealthy and eating so many other things that weren't healthy that I had no idea what was having a negative effect versus what was having a positive effect. So, that's something that I really challenge you. If you are feeling great and you think it might be a food trigger, eliminate that food for a little while, right? Let your body reset and see how it feels. I've done this actually a lot with cheese because, just as an FYI, cheese does this to a lot of people. Cheese is not so that great for you. That's one of those foods that we think are healthy. Yes, Michael, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Cheese is one of those foods that a lot of people think of as a healthy choice, but it's really not so healthy. It's really not good for you, and that's a topic for another night. I actually want to talk about foods that we think are healthy but really aren't and don't do great things for our body. But it's learning to listen to your body, and so that's something that we have both learned over the last 3 years, and we're passing on to our kids. So with that, it's getting late, and I'm exhausted, and we have a long weekend ahead of us because we still have the wedding on Monday and got to get everybody ready for it tomorrow. But I hope everybody...
I got to get manicure and pedicure
Yes,
tomorrow.
he's got to get a... Yes, my nails. I'm taking girls to get manis and pedis tomorrow, and yes. So we hope you have a great night. We're here celebrating.
Toodles.
Anybody who wants to give congratulations to this guy who made his start 3 years ago, we'll celebrate him again this summer when he hits his goal because, men, they lose weight a lot faster than women. Jackie, staying away from almonds is a big one for you. Yes, nuts is a big thing for a lot of people. Yes, for those of you, results not typical, that he hit his 45-pound mark in about 3.5 months. Maybe a little bit less than that, maybe 3 months. It was pretty fast, because men just do that. He and I hit the 45-pound mark on the same week, and that I had started 2 months before him. So again, results not typical, but they are pretty typical, I have to say. So have a great night. We will, or I will see you guys. I will be live here again tomorrow. Have a good night. Say goodbye.
Night.
Bye.